Hi guys, welcome into Rhill World. I'm Rhill One, Randall Hill. So much news has come through this past week since the last time we talked, so we're going to have a big show today, including ICE and the protests continuing around the country. No CDLs for illegals. Government remains shut down. Trump hosts the White House around Antifa and the organization being labeled as a terrorist group. Peace in the Middle East and more. Let's go ahead and get into it. This is Rhill World. First on the docket, I wanted to talk about some of the ICE protests that are continuing around the country as ICE continues to just try to do its job, try to enforce immigration efforts to get these criminals out of our country. And we continue to see the protests, not only with protesters on the street, such as Antifa, that we'll get into in just a minute, but also activist judges. Yes, the federal judges are intervening and, making their presence known where it is not wanted or needed. But, that doesn't stop them from acting out of turn. These federal judges are, quite frankly, getting on my nerves as they continue not to want to enforce laws as their job is to do, but just be activists. I have a clip here about a story in Illinois with a federal judge blocking National Guard deployment in the state of Illinois. Without further ado, I will play the story for you.
Joins the show now. Sir, let me ask you this. Do you think Chicago needs the National Guard?
If you have the Illinois State Police and the Chicago Police Department and other local law enforcement agencies unwilling to assist in at least keeping the peace between protesters and the federal immigration agents, absolutely. And it wasn't until recently that we saw the state police and others participating to ensure that protesters could exercise their First Amendment rights without endangering the lives of our federal agents. But we continue to see an escalation of violence against those individuals who are here enforcing the laws of the United States. And unfortunately, the judge chose to ignore the fact that we've seen an ever-increasing effort to try to destabilize the efforts while also addressing the laws of the United States.
What I don't understand, and I think other people across the country, Alderman, is that ICE agents are there to try and get the most dangerous criminals who are here illegally out of their community. Why would they protest that?
Because they're stupid.
Right now, I think the simple answer is politics. The Democratic Party and many of these paid protesters and junior Antifa are just trying to show that they are standing up to Donald Trump, that they are resisting the Trump administration. Long gone is the idea of trying to find pathways for those individuals who have been here, the long-term undocumented that we claim to care about. All they want to do now is fight Donald Trump, fight Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, and fight immigration enforcement.
Yep. And that's what we see from the Democratic Party as a whole. Just anything Donald Trump says, anything Donald Trump does, let's fight Donald Trump. We must oppose Donald Trump. How about coming up with some new ideas of your own? How about trying to appeal to the American people? If you guys want to stay in power so bad, why don't you start trying to do your jobs? Come up with ideas to help the American people. Come up with ideas to help the country get out of debt, so on and so forth. All you guys are doing is just being a nuisance, getting in the way. All you guys want to do is spend money that we don't have as the country is going further and further into debt every day as we speak. As I speak right here, the country is going further and further into debt. And these Democrats just continue just to want to fight Donald Trump. That's their only agenda, and that's why we see a continuous decline in their approval ratings. I mean, it's great if you're on the right, however, as far as re-election efforts, but we still need them in order to pass legislation. We need them to basically pull their heads out of their ass, see what needs to be done for America and Americans, and stop playing politics otherwise, just fighting Donald Trump and fighting for illegal immigrants that continue to hurt our country, especially the criminal illegal aliens, which is kind of a double negative there. As ICE efforts right now are continuing to go against the criminal aliens that have committed other crimes in addition to being here illegally. They just continue just to want to fight anything that Donald Trump does. So yeah, we're going to continue to see that. Probably no end in sight there. So I'll try to get some more videos for you as they continue to come out. But just wanted to let you know that now those activist judges are getting involved once again. Those federal judges, they really need to be disbarred. I also wanted to talk about no CDLs for illegals. Finally, a major crackdown effort has gone underway, and that we are seeing. It looks like, several hundred CDLs have been revoked due to illegal aliens being issued CDLs, not being able to read simple children books as they're being pulled over by Department of Transportation officials and just being asked to read, little excerpts from children's books. And I don't know if you know, but it's pretty important to be able to read road signs and warnings to be able to operate any motor vehicle, much less a commercial motor vehicle where you're operating at normally 80,000 pounds or even more in some cases if you're a permanent load. Very, very dangerous stuff that was happening, and we have seen the result of that. Several people have lost their lives just as a result of these people being on the road. Glad to see the Trump administration and Duffy and Department of Transportation stepping in and actually fighting for the American people here, just to keep our roads safer and just enforcing the law. So once again, thank you to this administration for trying to iron some things out. What else do we got here in the news? Kavanaugh's would-be assassin was arraigned and given, what was it? He was given basically a slap on the wrist, if you ask me. It looks like they gave him an 8-year sentence, which doesn't really move the needle for me. Like if I'm that passionate about trying to make a name for myself, where they could have given him more of a 30 years to life, which should be the norm, I think, for somebody trying to assassinate an official such as a Supreme Court justice or a president or vice president, any government official of that kind of capacity. 8 years is kind of a slap on the wrist, if you ask me, as we continue to see this soft on crime, soft on sentencing from, once again, activist judges, not real judges. And, I think if something can be done by the Trump administration to look into what does it take to disbar, bench some of these activist judges just based on performance, it needs to be looked into. And, hopefully something can be done about that. I mentioned the government remains shut down, heading into 3 weeks of the government shutdown. No end in sight on that. Both Democrats, Republicans remain heels in the ground. Democrats still want their illegal health care for illegal aliens, and Republicans still want an America First agenda, and hey, why don't we try to solve the problems of our countries and our people before giving out stuff that we don't have. Let's work on our homeland here. So both remain heels in the ground. However, I did want to say Trump is having an effort to get funds together to get our military officers paid while the government remains shut down. So that is an awesome thing that he is doing there. It looks like he will be able to get that done. So just an amazing thing that he continues to be able to do to work around these Democrats that are just clueless. They're just clueless people, and they're all about chaos, and they could care less about the country or the people. It's all about power and money with them. And quite frankly, I'm really sick of them. Even being an independent myself, and having sided with some of these people on some of these issues, I'm just seeing more and more every day. Just disgusting behavior, and it's making me just really turn away from them as a whole. I don't even want to hear it from any of them. With that said, Democratic nominee for California governor Katie Porter has been in the news. Is that Katie Porter? Katie Porker? No. Katie Porter. Oh yeah, yes. In the news lately, just if you don't know who I'm talking about, she is actually the leading candidate for for California's gubernatorial race, and she is something else. I'm giving her a small section in the show today just to kind of expose her for who she is. And if California gets her, I never thought I would say these words, but wow, it could be worse than what they have in Gavin Newsom. Yes, this one here is quite the winner, which is probably why you see her leading as the leading candidate for California. I just want to play some clips that have been in the news recently in relation to Katie. First one I'm going to play is in relation to her thoughts on Riley Gaines and transgender athletes playing sports.
Representative Katie Porter weighed in after swimmer Riley Gaines says she was punched by transgender activists at a recent speaking engagement. I believe the language actually was that she was struck twice. Let's take a look at what Porter had to say.
We talked about people, using things to kind of get likes and get clicks.
That's not what she's doing.
It's not?
I've got no truck for Riley Gaines personally, but all I've seen her do is stand up for women's rights to fairness and equality.
Well,
She actually competed against Leah Thomas, and it was obviously unfair. Leah Thomas won one of the races in the NCAA championships by 50 seconds against a bunch of biological females who simply couldn't keep up. That cannot be right. It cannot be fair.
That is something that I think our sporting bodies should be dealing with. And by the way, Riley is speaking up for herself, and that is her prerogative, and I respect her free speech.
I think she's speaking up for pretty much every female athlete in the world.
Yep.
And now here is Bill Maher weighing in.
Wasn't that the point of Title IX? Title IX in the early 70s was something that was it was a major event in feminism, that we finally have this law that says at colleges, right, and I think high schools too, but definitely colleges, women's sports have to be given equal to men's sports, so that women aren't and this led to the WNBA and lots of other stuff. This seems to be the opposite of that. It seems to be so many instances, I think, where wokeness is the opposite of what I grew up as liberalism.
Yeah, anytime you have Pierce Morgan and Bill Maher weigh in and shut you down, and you're a Democrat, you have a Democrat view on something, yeah, you're wrong. And if that clip doesn't tell you anything about this candidate going forward here, I've got some other clips for you. And that's just the tip of the iceberg with this one here. So you see why she's at the top of the leaderboard for California, as the train wreck as it is. California voters, what are you doing? Here, I want to play just just another. And I have another clip for you here. Let's see. She was recently
go to a website you love
in the news
with Wix
for trying to pull
For
out
yours?
of
What do you say to the
an interview.
40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win?
Check this out.
Who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, man?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. So you don't
I
think
feel
you
like
need
this
to
is
vote.
unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question?
Well, to those voters. Okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
A California gubernatorial hopeful snapped at a CBS News reporter and tried to storm out of an interview after being asked a simple question about President Trump. Ex-California Representative Katie Porter was recorded trying to pull the plug on the sit-down interview with CBS News Sacramento last month. The bizarre encounter, which aired online earlier this week, captured Porter flipping out when reporter Julie Watts asked how she planned to win Republican votes as she tries to
Wow. Can't answer questions, Katie? That's amazing. Here, how about another one? We've got showing her winning personality. This just was another shot of her having an interview prior to that.
Enerpac ultra-flat hydraulic cylinders have a high capacity and are incredibly durable, with a wide range of models to choose from. There's an ultra-flat C ULP cylinder for most low-clearance applications up to 100 tons. Buy now at enerpac.com.
Ready for stat number 2?
I am.
All right. $632.
Look how upset she's getting
$632,
already,
which is how
and this
much
person
you save
stepping into
in
her view
fuel
here.
and maintenance costs when you replace your traditional
Look how
car
pissed
with an
off she is.
EV, with an electric vehicle. So I lease
That
a
person
Chevy
standing
Bolt.
there.
It is the best car that I have ever owned. I just plug it into the garage, 3-hole prong plug, and I never have to go to the gas station.
That's awesome. And $632 is real money.
And then
It
check
shows
this out.
if we don't electrify our transportation sector, that we're going to lose more than 500,000 Californians dying prematurely to air pollution and other problems. And the state could lose. Get out of my fucking shot.
I wanted to tell you that that's actually correct. It's not that it's electric vehicles, it's that if we don't make the commitments under the Paris Climate Accord.
Okay, it does. Okay, you also were in my shot before that.
Wow. What a winner. Several reports of that kind of behavior from her. Very, very high turnover from staff, as you can see why. Just very belittling behavior, very argumentative, very just bullying type behavior. Also, court reports from her divorce. Yes, her husband reported that he experienced her pouring steaming hot bowl of mashed potatoes over his head because she did not like the way he prepared the dish, and that actually caused scarring on this gentleman's scalp. So ex-husband there, luckily he got out of that situation, but not before experiencing some erratic behavior. There's also other erratic behavior reported with her and her children. Also other things in the news controversial as it pertains to pedophilia, and her stance on just pretty much everything. I mean, as you can kind of see just from the little bits and pieces that I've shown you of her so far, you could only imagine everything else that as you kind of go down that rabbit hole. California, please stop the madness. Don't do this to yourselves. Get the word out. Go back red. Just go for the Republican. It's really, really not worth it. Okay, moving on. Trump hosts the roundtable as it pertains to Antifa. Got some just a little bit of clips from that. As we saw several reporters, there was Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, as well as others in the meeting. And I just wanted to play some of the clips.
It seems to be going
that,
well, so we'll let you know.
Took place during that meeting. I'm going to start with Pam Bondi, just because I have expressed some, how should I say, discontent with her performance so far. She has talked big in the past with very little to no actual action. I mean, I know that there are some indictments that have been handed out with Comey and so forth, but I want to see handcuffs. And until that happens, I don't believe in big talk. But I do want to show the talk on this. I'm going to go ahead and let the clip play through from Pam to Kristi Noem. Just it's about a 3-minute clip here, just to kind of show you. As I mentioned before, Trump has labeled Antifa a domestic terrorist organization, and Pam Bondi doubling down on that, and Kristi Noem kind of sets the stage as to what they're dealing with from the organization. I'm going to play just some small clips from a couple of the reporters as well, just to kind of put out there what we all kind of know Antifa has been involved with. Without further ado, here's Pam Bondi.
20th. Secretary Noem is out there fighting for you firsthand to keep our federal officers safe, to keep our federal buildings safe, and we're not going to have it anymore, these thugs. We saw what's happening in Portland and Chicago, and you saw what happened in Dallas. No longer. This is not activism, it's anarchy. We can't and we will not let masked terrorists burn our buildings, attack our law enforcement, and intimidate our communities. Under your leadership, President Trump, we're deploying the full might of the federal law enforcement to crack down on Antifa and other domestic terrorist organizations led by Stephen Miller. And Stephen, thank you for everything you're doing. Last week, I issued a memo ordering our federal law enforcement agents, DEA, FBI, U.S. Marshals, and ATF to protect ICE officers from Antifa and other radical left-wing violence. Director Patel has been going non-stop. He and Deputy Attorney General Blanche were in Chicago yesterday. While Secretary Noem was in Portland, we are around this country fighting against this domestic terrorism. We had Apple and Google take down the ICE block apps. Hope they continue to comply with that. It's threatening the safety of our federal law enforcement officers. We're not going to stop at just arresting the violent criminals we can see in the streets. Fighting crime is more than just getting the bad guy off the streets. It's breaking down the organization brick by brick. Just like we did with cartels. We're going to take the same approach, President Trump, with Antifa. Destroy the entire organization from top to bottom. We're going to take them apart. Thanks to your bold leadership and the designation of Antifa as a terrorist organization, which is exactly what they are, Americans will no longer tolerate their unhinged violence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pam. Christine.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for hosting today and focusing on Antifa and the terrorists that they are. Let's not make any mistake. These individuals do not just want to threaten our law enforcement officers, threaten our journalists, and the citizens of this country. They want to kill them. Their agenda is to destroy the American people and our way of life, and this president is standing in their way. He is stopping them from bringing their death and their destruction to the individual citizens in this country that just want to raise their kids and their grandkids in peace and in safety. I want to also thank everyone around this table for being so bold and so brave, for standing up and recognizing the threat that Antifa is to our way of life. By recognizing how advanced they are, how sophisticated their networks are, how they've infiltrated our entire country, and we're seeing them play out with their tactics from city to city, and how they have built out their funding mechanisms. And sir, I also want to thank our Treasury Secretary for his work in getting to the bottom of these funding mechanisms and individuals who are.
Absolutely. I just wanted to let you hear a little bit of what Christy had to say there in relation to just how far they want to see. I mean, they want to see, I mean, they're not out there for, just to be out there. They're just to be antagonists. They are burning down buildings. They're causing chaos. They're assaulting people. And in many ways, in many instances, I should say, they have committed murder, and they do want people dead. There was also some reporting from some reporters. One of the notable, Andy No, he's a fantastic reporter, been in the fire with these people for quite some time. I wanted to let you hear just a clip from him as well, taking part in this roundtable meeting. Andy No.
And I was really shocked to see that the narrative was that these, in my view, anti-democratic political violence was legitimate acts of protest because people were concerned about racism or all these other lies. Bullshit. And so for the next 4 years, I just continued going out with my video camera. I thought, look, people can ignore what I write because of spin, but videos can quite speak for themselves. And in 2019, it led to me nearly losing my life. I was covering another Antifa protest turned riot. At that point, had been routine in Portland, and then I was ambushed in a mob beating. And I had never been in a fight. I didn't even realize that I was being assaulted until seconds in. And the punches came from everywhere on my head and my face, and I was bleeding out of my eyes and ears. And then they threw all the drinks in my eyes to humiliate me further and to laugh at me. And I was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance and CT scan, and I had subarachnoid hemorrhage, which is bleeding in the brain. I nearly died. And after surviving that, the reporting that I saw in liberal media it seemed to suggest that I had deserved it because they branded me far right.
Absolutely.
And some even went so far as to suggest that I maybe faked my injuries. A BuzzFeed reporter asked for my medical records, which I did provide, but this felt so, it's like because I didn't die in that attack, there was another round of people who wanted to finish me off. But I continued, and then 2020, Portland was really the epicenter of the longest political violence. Those months of riots, I was on the ground, undercover, and there was an assassination there. There was a supporter of Donald Trump named Aaron Danielson who was shot dead by a self-described Antifa member who then fled out of state and died in a shootout with U.S. Marshals. In 2021, I returned undercover, naively thinking that enough time had passed, and was chased through the streets of downtown and beaten, nearly choked out. The person who was trying to choke me out held me so tightly that I had the blood, the vessels in my eyes burst. So one of the symptoms were my eyes were completely red after that, and I was hospitalized. So thank you so much for acknowledging Antifa and for directing your administration to treat them as domestic terrorists. It's going to be really challenging because how they organize is that they are decentralized, autonomous, and they operate on deception.
I don't even have words. Just absolutely disgusting that it takes President Donald Trump coming out and actually having to slap the terrorist organization label on these people, and law enforcement in these big cities, Chicago, Portland, LA, so on and so forth, their law enforcement just refuses to do anything about it. It's absolutely ridiculous that we're seeing this in the United States of America. What is actually happening on the left with this violence? This is just unreal that we're actually living through this. I feel like I'm being punked sometimes. Like, there's no way this type of stuff is happening in our country and just going unpunished, and it's just mostly peaceful protesting. Oh, well, the guy didn't die. He almost died. So there's no crime there. It's disgusting. But I do want to play just one more clip from Katie Davenport, who was recently attacked by a member of Antifa. She had pretty good testimony in this roundtable, and I just kind of wanted to let her tell her story, or a little clip from her story anyway, and then we'll go ahead and move on. So here's Katie.
Supported by Democratic elected officials, the Portland Police Bureau has completely abandoned several blocks outside the ICE facility, giving away their jurisdiction to a terrorist group who has spent the past 4 months harassing, assaulting, and intimidating anyone they perceive to be against their cause. Not only have federal agents been relentlessly assaulted for more than 100 consecutive days, black-clad anarchist militants concealing their identities behind black facial coverings have been assaulting reporters just for trying to cover their crimes. Today, I am sitting here with a black eye and a concussion after being violently hit in the face with a metal pole while reporting outside the ICE facility just this past week. After the attack, I immediately went to three Portland police officers who refused to detain the suspect. I took the time to chase down the suspect in the streets, had her held for 35 minutes. I was waiting for Portland police to come, and they never came. Then that's what opened my eyes to what this group is actually doing. I watched 20 Antifa militants help my assault suspect escape into an Antifa safe house that is 1 block away from the ICE facility. And this safe house is where Antifa-affiliated protesters are conducting paramilitary operations. It's where they're arresting, they're showering, they're eating to continue this occupation. I have staked out this safe house and have observed shift changes. This group is highly organized. It is being funded through mutual aid groups, and they have no plans of stopping. Residents living across
Absolutely crazy, ridiculous. I just kind of wanted to play those 2 clips for you. Andy Ngo, some of his attacks and everything that happened to him was quite a few years ago, 2020, 2019, 2021. Katie just recently. So, and we've continued to see attacks, all the way through. Antifa is an organization. It is something that is very organized. We're very well funded, and needs to be stopped. And I really hope Pam Bondi and the rest of the crew follows through with dismantling this organization brick by brick from top to bottom, as we heard them say that they would. Much more can be said on that. That roundtable meeting was roughly an hour and a half. Good viewing. should you want to take some time to take a listen to that, there were many other stories that I just can't get to in the short amount of time I have here. That said, I need to go ahead and move on to peace in the Middle East. Yes, Donald J. Trump, our president, commander-in-chief, has helped to create peace in the Middle East. This hasn't been seen since, well, Donald J. Trump administration 1.0. But prior to that, decades and decades of fighting. He is the first president to create peace in the Middle East. And then, as we know, we had the 2020 election stolen from him. And during the Otto Penn administration, when it was being run by the deep state, there was another conflict started 2023. So this war has been raging for about 2 years now, a little over 2 years. And we are seeing a peace agreement being agreed to by Israel and Hamas both. Some of the outlines on this peace agreement are as follows. There is a ceasefire to be implemented within 24 hours. We are seeing that already taking place by Israel and Hamas. There is to be a hostage release by Hamas, all 48 remaining hostages, 20 whom are alive and 28 who are deceased, are to be freed within 72 hours of this agreement. That's supposed to be taking place on Monday. Concurrently, the prisoners that are held in Israel are to be released. That number is about 2,000 prisoners to be freed to Hamas. And then there will be an IDF withdrawal. The Trumps will pull back to an agreed upon line, and the ceasefire will begin, as that part has already started to happen. And then they can start with implementing humanitarian aid to a much needed war-torn area in Gaza there. And my understanding is also Hamas will cease to exist in the Gaza area. They were going to see some new government come in. All Hamas officials that agree to lay down weapons will be granted quote-unquote amnesty and their lives spared should they agree to stop fighting, and they will be allowed passage into countries that will allow them, or to remain in the Gaza area, just not in power. And then there's going to be, obviously, with humanitarian aid, eventually there'll be restructuring into Gaza as things move forward here. But we are in the first stages of that. We have seen a ceasefire take place. Hostages will begin to be released. Again, that's supposed to be complete no later than Monday. And things are going to happen from there. So that is, if you've been counting now, 8 wars that President Donald Trump has been the main negotiator and getting solved, stopping death. There is, obviously the one more with Russia and Ukraine, but one step at a time. 8 wars, and what are we going on, 9 months? That's a pretty great achievement. Many people wanted to see Donald Trump get the Nobel Peace Prize. Would have been very well deserved. The Nobel administration has kind of a process that many people wanted to see that process kind of thrown out. Given circumstances, they refused. In my opinion, with it going to where it went, which you guys can kind of do your own research on, fascinating lady in Venezuela doing some very good work over there and trying to, she's the leading candidate. She's been through some hell. again, I don't have time. I'm kind of over on the show already, so just go ahead and look into that on your own time as well. Fascinating lady, well deserving of the Nobel Peace Prize. My guess will be that Donald Trump will be the nominee next year, and it will be well deserved. Should he receive it then, and it should be frowned upon, to be nice, if he doesn't. Again, that is my time. I appreciate you guys for being here with me. It's been an honor to be here with you. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Please hit that subscribe button and share the show with your friends, family, neighbors, whoever will listen. And I'll be back with you guys next week. So best wishes and thank you. Have a good night.